Blessed Monday, everyone. This is Chaplain Dan Bonner here at the Assisted Living Community. I want to talk to you this week in our 4 conversations with me and you about something that is, I'm pretty sure, dwelling up in one way or another in each of your lives. I don't mean to say I know exactly what you're experiencing these days, but I had a conversation the other day with a friend who lives in the independent living up the hill near my wife and Sue and I. And he was sharing with me in a very earnest way that in these days, when he's cut off from his family and friends, he can't see them in person, he begins and he watches the news and lives in isolation. He said, "Dan, I'm beginning to feel afraid for myself." That was a hard thing for him to admit, a proud man. And yet these days and weeks and now months have worn away on him. He was afraid. I shared with him that I thought that was a common experience among us all during these days, and especially with the careful precautions that we're taking here at the Wesleyan at Australia. And then I felt led to say to him, just remember, the Lord is with you here, and the Lord is more powerful than any pandemic or other force of bad. Be not afraid. I'm not quite sure why I said that, because frankly, I get to the place of feeling afraid myself at times. But I want to talk these Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday conversations with you this week about what we do with fear when we feel it. What we do with fear when we feel it. I looked after I talked to my friend and went back and thought about it. I looked in the scripture for what might be there as guidance or direction, and I found a lot of advice, but one phrase, one passage sticks out for me. I want to share it with you today. What do we do with fear when we feel it? One thing is, on this Monday, well, let me set the setting. Pharaoh had been a horrible, horrible host to the children of Israel. And in Egypt, they were enslaved and made to work in drudgery, dangerous jobs. Their women were pillaged by the Egyptians. And for generations, they lived in fear. But then one day, God called a very special man named Moses from among his people and gave to Moses the commission to lead his children out of bondage. And then he showed Moses how Pharaoh would submit to God, that God would show the mighty tyrant how he must release the children of Israel. But Moses still doubted. He was young. He believed in the Lord, but he needed an extra measure of assurance. One phrase, one passage sums up what the Lord said to him through the Spirit. Moses, this is the 21st verse of the 7th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy, in the accounting of this liberation from the fearful Pharaoh. Moses, do not be terrified by Pharaoh or the Egyptians. For the Lord your God, I am among you, and I am a great and awesome God. A great and awesome God was with him. As with my friend who spoke to me of his fear, I'd like to say to you, when we feel afraid of the circumstances of these days, first and foremost, remember, we are in the hands of a great and awesome God who is just as much with us today as God was with Pharaoh long ago, with Egypt long ago, and befriending and freeing the children of Israel long ago. God is with us, a great and awesome God. Remember that this Monday. Remember that first thing, and fear is swallowed up. It's good to be with you this day. I look forward to sharing more about how we can deal with our fears in the days ahead. Have a blessed Monday.